Good morning and welcome to the 51st Prix de West Invitational Art Exhibition and Sale. Here to begin today's program is the Curator of Ethnology for the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, Dr. Eric Singleton.
Howdy. Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the 51st Prix de West. As the nation's premier Western art exhibition and sale, Prix de West celebrates the American West through the many talented artists invited each year. Today's seminars will feature artists who will share their personal experiences, techniques, knowledge, and trends in Western fine art. Because of the meaningful content contained in these seminars, we are pleased to offer these seminars to the public, reaching an even larger audience. This tradition continues because of the generosity of our sponsors, recognized on screen. If you see anyone wearing a sponsor ribbon this weekend, please let them know how much we appreciate their support and contributions. We appreciate Panera Bread for providing this morning's refreshments. We also thank seminar sponsor Wendy and Stephen Olshan. Many people enjoy taking home a memento from Prix de West. Our commemorative Prix de West bolos and catalogs are available for purchase in the newly renovated Persimmon Hill store located near the front entry. While you're there, please take a few minutes to explore the trunk shows located right inside the entrance. Although the museum will close at 4 p.m. today, Persimmon Hill will remain open until 6. Tonight, beginning at 6 o'clock, society members, sponsors, and ticket holders are invited to attend the cocktail reception in the galleries. Guests will have the opportunity to mingle with artists while viewing the exhibition. Tomorrow at noon, we'll announce the winner of the 2023 Prix de West Purchase Award. And tomorrow evening, our highly anticipated art sale will take place with cocktails in the gallery beginning at 5:30. Our celebration will continue with the presentation of awards, live auction, and dinner here at the Sam Noble Special Events Center. There's much to look forward to this weekend. Our first seminar is titled My Story as a Chinese-American Artist Who Paints Native American Subject Matter. We are fortunate to hear from a Prix de West artist who was raised in a family of artists. Born in China, he studied fine art in his youth prior to moving to the United States and earning bachelor and master's degrees in painting. He has received multiple awards, including the 2018 Sam Houston Award for Painting at the Briscoe Western Art Museum's Night of Artists and the Autry Museum's 2011 Masters of the American West Purchase Award. His works can be found in the permanent collections of the American National Portrait Gallery, the Autry Museum, the Briscoe Western Art Museum, Harvard University, and the West Point Museum of the United States Military Academy. Here to kick off today's seminars, please welcome Prix de West artist Z.S. Liang.
Ladies and gentlemen, and my artist friends, and people in the Prix de West and the museum, thank you to give me this opportunity to share my art journey. Okay, hold on. As an artist, people always ask me at the first time, why did you paint Indian? How did you do it? So I have to tell a little story from the beginning. Once I drive in the Highway 90 in Massachusetts, I stopped in a rest area. I saw a poster, and one side is a pilgrim, another side is an Indian in the poster. And that is for the plantation. I found this very interesting in the introduction. I said, well, I have to see this show. So later I went to the museum and saw the people in 1620. They dress up like they pretend they don't know anything. I'm using a phone or camera, asking, strange questions, and so. And there's a village and about 15 houses. I was so excited to see them, and they introduced me all those things, and they know about the Mayflower. But more exciting, I went there to see is the Wampanoag show next to plantation. There's a little village, and people young and old, and they plant corn, beans, and squash, and digging out canoes and making houses, and just like 1620 when the pilgrim arrived there. And I saw the man on the poster. I was, wow. I said, you are the poster. You are the man in the poster. And can you do a modeling for me? And then he said, yeah, no problem, but not today. You have to come back and you got to make an appointment. I said, sure. So very soon he told me many stories and do the post, and that's how a painting started. But today I start my story with my father. My father was a painter, a woodcut artist, and when he was born in 1920, and my grandmother told me there's a little workshop in the street, and he went there to. My father went there to see people make a poster for. It's a very old-fashioned. Almost every family have that poster and put in the door, and basically it's for protection and possibilities. And when he saw those people cutting the wood, making the print, and that's how it started. He be very excited and saw those and went back home and tried to do that. And later, the World War II started, and he and his friends and get involved in there's a program to help people fighting for the Japanese invasion. And that's my father. I think that was when he was 25, 26 years old. And my mother. Okay, here's some artwork and the Japanese invaded and in the little village. Okay, I have to mention this lady, Pearl Buck. I don't know how many people remember her. She was a Nobel Prize winner in literature. And she was born in China because her father was a priest. But she has her education in the US, but when the World War II going on there, she went back and she visited many artists. And she saw my father's work, and she purchased 8 of them and asked him about every piece and what is going on in that painting. And later, he went back. Oh, he also collected another artist's work, and altogether about 100 pieces. And he published a book called China in Black and White. And that's my father's work in that book. And then I need to introduce you to another lady. When I was in China, before I came to US, I heard there's a person from US, and her husband was an international lawyer. And that time, China just about opened up to embrace with new technology and all this cultural things and everything from the West, and just have established a foreign relationship with the U.S. And her husband, Mr. Cohen, was an international lawyer, and the government needs him to help to build the international law system for China. But when Mrs. Cohen went to China, she was a professor of Museum of Fine Art in Boston. And she asked the government to give him the chance to see the artists. And not only the artists, I want to see those artists not under government. And the government agreed. So that, and she went to Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. And I have a chance to meet her and show my work to her. And then I asked her to write a recommendation of a study in US, and she did. And she recommended two books, two schools, and one is the Museum Fine Art School, one is the Massachusetts College of Art. And then very quickly, and I sent my slides and this and that, and did all those. And I took Mass College of Art, and they accept me, and then I went to Boston. That's the work I show her. And that's like a self-portrait and showing what I'm thinking, those sails and represent Chinese. I'm looking forward, hoping China get bigger and stronger and more powerful. That's, in that time, all the young people are thinking the same thing. But we all want to come over to Europe and to US to study. And I was thinking study modern art, not traditional, social realism paintings. So I did, and I came over in 1982. I need to control my time. So she wrote this book, Mrs. Cohen, and people know her. All the artists know her in that time. And that was 40 years later, I sent the book to her, and she took the picture. And that's the painting I was doing in that time, abstract expressionism. Okay, then I need to move forward to, I met my wife and went back to China. And then I have two girls very quickly later. And that's my master, my mentor, Chen Yanling. And I learned a lot from him, especially like a portraiture, people, painting people. And he was commissioned by the royal family and painting the Queen, Elizabeth. And funny, when that time happening, and Queen asked him, I said, "Are you nervous painting me?" And he said, "No, not at all. But if I painting Mao, I will be very nervous." And that's the portrait he did. And also, her husband. That's all his work. Okay, that's my painting. When I graduated from school, I could make a living by doing all those abstract expressionism paintings. And very quickly, I was hired by an interior design company. And they specialize in hotels, but every project, they have murals for hotels. So I did many of those work, but very quickly, the company went down, and then I established my own company called Liang Studio, doing portraiture. And this is my work and family portraits and celebrities. You know. And this is a painting. I won the prize and the best of the show and the People's Choice by the Society of American Portrait Artists. Okay, here are the photos I took in plantation. And there's an Indian, they're building the houses, and they dug out canoes, building houses like I just said. And I found this so interesting and took many photos. And that's the man I met, and that's him in the poster. He showed me how to hunt a deer, and I'm so excited about when he said when you approach a deer, when the deer is down, the arrows on the body. He said, "I will come over and put some tobacco around the deer, and hold the tobacco up, and saying prayers to transit the deer's spirit back to Mother Nature." So all this I just heard, but I found this can be wonderful paintings. I took a lot of pictures, and also he showed me another things, and that was the first Indian I met in this country, a real Indian. You see my backpack? That's supposed to deer. And that's my painting. There's a turkey hunter. I sent my first paintings, there's 8 of them. Before that, I'm looking for galleries after I have the painting. And because doing the Indian painting is much more creative. And I asked my friend, Liang, I said, what gallery you were in the U.S.? And he said, just go to Chosai. And Morgan's there, and I'm there, and many realism painters there, and you go there, it'll be all set. So I sent these 8 paintings. I sent these 8 paintings image to Mary Wang. She was in charge of the gallery. And later, when everything I packed up and framed and sent it to her, and then she told me, she said, all your paintings sold. I said, really? And she said, oh, I just send your image to my clients. Oh, so that's how I understand gallery, how they work. After visit the plantation, the Wampanoag village, and I recognized, I just want to learn so much about the Indian, but I don't know how. And then people tell me, simple thing, you learn from the book first. I said, okay. So I went to the library and read a whole pile of books and reading and learning. And also people told me, you have to go to the powwow and talk to the Indian, and especially the medicine man. I said, okay. So I spent 3-4 months in the beginning. I said, read the book and look at the pictures, and I found that there's so many information about the Indian, because in Massachusetts, in 1960, after 1667, the first Indian War, almost all of them were killed or wherever and become slaves and sell to different places. Basically, they're all gone. And there's no one photograph left. So through these books, I found so many interesting photos, and because that's what I want to see for painters. And I said, this can be a great reference to my painting. And in the beginning, also, I found very difficult to get in, to learn about the Indian culture. And there's a man, Tom Sorber, and I found him in the magazine, in the Art of West. Every issue, there's a studio for artists. And I saw his work and saw his studio, like a little museum. I said, wow, I really want to meet this person. And very quickly, I sent my work, and then I can talk to him. And he said, oh, come over. You're welcome. I have a guest house, and just come over. I will introduce you, what I know, and also the Indian around here. Actually, that was a Blackfeet in Montana reservation area. So very quickly, I went over, and very quickly become good friends. He told me he wanted to learn from me, and I have much more to learn from him. So we went to the Lewis and Clark fight site, one of the fight sites there, and in that trip, I learned so much. And ever since I met him, I feel like God sending me a helping hand. And he was a good painter, and in his style, and he was a great historian, researcher, and great storyteller, and he's so many stories. Every time I met him with another people, he kept telling. People always ask him, oh, tell me the story about Indian, about this and about that. And so he's a good storyteller, and also, and he's a good writer. He wrote my first book, and I couldn't find anyone else to write that book. But of course, he knows me, and also he knows every painting in that book. So today, I invite him and his wife, Marilyn, to came over. And Tom, can you stand up? I think many people know Tom Sorber. And I want to thank him, because ever since the first time I met him, when I try to, every time I have a sketch, I need to show him. I said, Tom, tell me, how can I make it better? Is something wrong and something you would suggest? And every time he has something to say, and everything he said is so helpful. I would say without meeting Tom and all the help he gave me, I couldn't be an artist when I'm standing here today. So I'm so grateful, and I couldn't stop to saying how grateful I am to Tom Sorber. Actually, one more thing. When I'm in Tom's studio, one day he told me, he pointed out all the artifacts on the wall, and he said, Joe, when I pass away, this all belongs to you. I said, no, I couldn't take that. But in my heart, I just feel, how can I get those gifts from him? How can I appreciate that? But anyway, until from the beginning up to today, every time I have a big painting, I have a sketch, I will email that to him and ask him, any suggestion, anything good, bad? And that was so helpful. And that's the painting I did in the beginning. After I finished those Wampanoag, this is a Hopi Kachina maker. And I visit this Kachina maker in the Hopi reservation. Unfortunately, he passed away. I have many stories similar. His wife called me one day. He said he was murdered and he was pushed by someone from the cliff. I said, oh, how that happened? How that could happened to him. But anyway. And in that time, when I visited him, he told me many things about the Katrina. And he told me the one on the right in here and on his left. And that was the God, the biggest one in here compared with others. And that's how I painted and put that there. And that's the painting I did for the archery in the beginning when I participated the show. And that two girls actually is my daughters. And in the beginning, my older daughter, Allison, I said, Allison, come over here, bring the baby. And I have another models. And then my younger daughter, they're 7 and 9. And my younger daughter asked me, I said, Daddy, where I stand? I said, oh, gee, I didn't think of that. And I said, okay, well, you stand here. And then later I found that's a much better painting. Yeah, that's my painting. And people search for the bear after the bear ruined the village. And this is the Print Indian. The Print Indian, I will focus on after Lewis Clark and before Sitting Bull passed away in 1890. And this is a little powder horn on the ground, and that indicated there was white hunters around there, and the Indians just want to chase them away, and of course in the far away, when they saw the Indian coming, they left. And this is a piece showing what I learned from the book, the Blackfeet people. In the big teepee, they transferred the bear knife to the next person. The next person has to wait and suppose naked. And now I put the priest coffee here, and farmer owner have to throw the knife to him as strong as they can, and another person has to catch the knife. So if he can catch, so he can continue to own the knife. But in this painting, I just showing that moment. Nobody knows. He may get injury, and he may catch the knife. And all the chiefs and war chiefs and medicine men and important leaders in that teepee and participate in this ceremony to just want to see this exciting moment. And because the knife, the bear knife, if you look closer, you can see the jaw and the teeth in the tip. According to the Blackfeet story, is that if a warrior holding a bear knife in the battle, the enemy see that, they will almost paralyzed, and they recognize this person holding the knife will be most powerful warrior. I found this it's very interesting. So that's how I paint this painting. Portrait. I call this finished portrait. People looking for buffaloes, and that's the Lakota circling around the immigrants on their trail, and just try to stop them and express their anger. And there's a Blackfeet warrior. There's a Navajo lady same style. And there's Blackfeet, the mother and girls, and holding the baby, and that little beaded thing on the cradle is a little snake that indicates that he's a boy. If it's a lizard, that indicates as a girl. Blackfeet warrior. I paint a lot of Blackfeet because first, Tom was in the Blackfeet reservation, and there's so many photographs and books about Blackfeet. So I learned a lot about Blackfeet. Okay, this is trading with the Blackfeet. And one side, the man's interesting in the guns, and the other side, people, women's interesting those fabrics and jewelries, and there's a man next to holding a red blanket, and he looking at the girl in the front, and he was thinking, try to get the blanket to her father, and try to get the girl. There's many little story around here. Yeah, that's another great Indian, a Blackfeet Indian, called Kyle Schultz. It's interesting. His last name is Schultz, and I paint a painting. Has a great story about Schultz happening for the Blackfeet. And that's a Crow Indian. Oh, actually, I met him in a Crow reservation. I asked him to sit there for me to take photograph, and later on, I put this on my website. I got so many emails. I said, "Oh, I like the portraits, and I am an Indian, and I am a Crow, and I am such." So somehow this portrait somehow building a connection with the Indian. This is a Navajo lady, doing the rocks. Yeah, this is an interesting story I read from the book. It's called Grandpa's Blessing. In the Prairie Indian, when they go out to hunt, one thing is very dangerous, and there's many holes on the prairie. Those holes dug out by animals. So when the horse is running, when 1 foot in the hole, and they'll be toast, because when the one leg is broken, and the horse will die later. But more scary is that the person will fall down from the horse and get injury. Some people get killed, and some people get great, hit the head, and that can get a very severe, injury. So the grandpa tying golden horse, the golden eagle's tail on the horse to give the blessing to his son, and this old man's grandson is sitting there to watch and hoping he can be a warrior, he can be a hunter to hunt with them. But right now he's just too young. And further in the back, and there's a woman get ready to butcher the buffaloes. And I found that very interesting for my painting. Yeah, more portraits. A hunter. Oregon Trail, they're called to see the Chimney Rock. I went there to research. It's an interesting story. I lost my wallet when I took photos. I put the wallet in the front of the car and put the camera there. And I wanted to shoot myself. And once I finished, I took the camera. I did not see the I forgot the wallet there, and I left. And somehow that fell down somewhere else. And very quickly I found, oh, where's my wallet? And then I went back and I met the old man. I said, what are you looking for? He was the person, like, he knows everyone in that little village. And he was the person trying to help anyone. But he was the owner, has a ranch around that rock. He told me, I said, oh, that's very interesting because I couldn't get close to the rock. There's a fence. And I said, can I come to see your ranch? Can I come closer to see the rock? I said, yeah, you're welcome. And furthermore, I asked him, I said, can I spend one night in your house? He said, sure, if you want. Because I know him, like, very quickly. I know his heart. He's a wonderful person. And he also introduced to his wife. And both old people, I think the most kind and friendly and are just the best. And both old people live in that big house, have not teeny tiny, it's a big metal roof. It's the middle of the night, and hail comes. I said, ding dong, what's happening? And then later I found that's the hail, that's like a big drum on the roof. And then I paint the painting, and it's interesting. And there's another painting for the Blackfeet. I think you may remember Lewis Clark, and when they passed that area, and that they have the only incident. They killed the Indian. They killed 2 Indians in that contact. And then when they left, the rest of the Indians left. And then we report, and then they come back to try to fight these people. And Tom brought me to that rock and told me the story. I said, wow, when I close my eyes, I can imagine those people about 200, a little bit more than 200 years ago, in 1803, and standing on the rock. I just close my eyes and try to recall what's happening. And that's what I saw, and that's why I paint. And thank Tom. And that's Crow Indian. And there's a Crow reservation. There's many things going on here. And that's a new baby just born, and you see there's a little older, a doll on the left, teaching how to make arrows to a young boy. So in the right, there's an old man holding a stick. Actually, he tried to get the red burning rock into the buffalo stomach. The buffalo stomach is hang there and inside the water, and put the red rock into the water to make the soup. And that's, I learned, before I learned this, I said, how can they make soup and how they can cook? And that's the way how they cook. I found this fascinating. And also grandma's making a little doll to the grandchildren, and the little antelope they catch, and the little baby, and now it's about a year old. And also he's making a little dog and the new friends. And I just found there's so many things so interesting and alive. Many, just the cottonwood tree on the right and the mountains behind and far away. And longer, you can see kids are running, and further, a person with a big herd of horses. And that's a little bit on after the war, and they celebrate their victory. Picking up waters, trading, they call them painted hide for powder and ball. And when the Indian running out the powder and ball, somehow it found this little log in here, and they met this white people. Each of these three of them represent a different class. The one holding the painted rope is a much more educated, and the one to his left is a powerful man, and the one on the right is a very good hunter. It's a share harvest. Young man never touched the girl, but this is the chance. Touch her hand. So I found this to be an interesting moment. The buffalo dance. Compassion for the enemy. And this has such a universal truth between two tribes, Mandan and Amani. I pronounced that not correctly, maybe. So the man, after the fight and injury, and left there behind, and the woman went out to pick up water to find him. And she helping him, wrapping up, and later brought food, and eventually it gave me a horse, went back to the tribe, to the Mandan. And they thinking, we cannot fight anymore. We should be friends. So this man, with a group of Mandan Indian, a couple months later, went back there and to meet the people and make a peace. So that I can see that should be happening in the world. People should not fight and no world. And by the way, people recognize me as a Chinese American, but I look at myself, I'm Chinese, and sometimes I forget, and I'm American, but also I'm an Indian. Deep down, further, I am a member of a global village, and that's how I look at things around us. Okay, that's rejecting the metal shield. Indian in the Muscle Shell Valley, traveling. Before a fight, they're putting lucky feathers on the head. There's a crazy horse cross the 7th Cavalry station. I think my time is almost gone. I have to go fast. No. There's a book I have in 2014. This is the chief looking for the campsite and all the people behind him. Begging this older warrior to lead the war group, all these young people, and that also is a Blackfeet. That is a very interesting story. A medicine man, I think it's the Canada, believe when he sing the song, people will listen to him. So when the war, I look in the book and there's a huge war, thousands of people involved. And he decided, I have to stop the war. Holding the rattle and on the horseback and keep singing and back and forth. And people try to shoot him. Nobody can catch him. And later, he did stop the war. And after I read that, I said, wow, this is worth the painting. That's the first painting I participated, the show in here, I think it's 5 years ago. That is a Sitting Bull. I think most of people did not know the story. First, I met Sitting Bull's great-grandson, I think it's about 15 years ago. And later he told me about, he wrote a book. And I read the book about what he wrote about Sitting Bull. When he visited Philadelphia, he went into the city, and the person behind him is a translator, an interpreter. And he signed his name, each one can earn $2. And he gave most of the money to the kids, and you never see kids and beggars in the street. That's a medicine man, and he's making this for those people going to steal horses. That's the painting in this show. This is my last painting. Blessing the Mount Lion pearl. And you see the little scar, in the center of the skin, and that I try to indicate this is a very powerful Mount Lion, and have fought with the people, and so eventually they got the skin. In here, before they cut the skin to make a quiver, you see the quiver behind them. And they believe the Mount Lion's power can transfer to an arrow, and that can help them hunt. And that's the piece outside. Okay, in the last, I'm showing my studio, 4 sides. And I have to look at this thing, every piece. Some I make, some people, some gift from the Indian, and some I purchase. And there's a light from my left. Okay. Oh, I said 45 minutes. It's done. Okay, thank you. Listen to me, and class is done. Thank you so much.